Welcome to My Dad is Grumpy as Shit. I am your host, Jay Cotto, and in today's segment, I want to talk about malicious intent. And the reason I want to talk about that is I had an instance today, which I'm not going to go into detail about it, but there was an instance today where um, I had a very clear dialogue with someone, that person also had very clear dialogue with others. But in any event, long story short, within that clear dialogue, which, I know what I said when I said it because I was there when I said it, type of deal. Um, that information was then carried over to someone else or brought to someone else's attention. And it was brought in a way that the whole conversation was misconstrued. And it was put in a way that there was a little bit of a negative spin on what the conversation was actually about. And the reason why I'm making this is because I got to tell you, it takes a tremendous amount of energy for someone to operate on that kind of level. You have to really want to do your due diligence to make sure that whatever you say and do is with a negative intent, and that energy involved in that is a lot. It's like a lie, right? So if once you tell a lie, you got to keep telling that lie, and that lie just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it becomes harder and harder to sustain. So I kind of feel the same way about malicious intent. When you do something with malice, when you do something with malicious intent behind it, it becomes such a snowball. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it becomes harder for you to deal with the repercussions of all the malicious intent that you've done. That it takes a real tremendous amount of energy to do that. Not only that, but it takes a lot of negative energy to even want to do something like that. It's very taxing I'm going to go on a spirit. I don't want to get too deep into like spiritual kind of stuff because that's not really where I'm going. But if you do believe in that kind of sort of thing, I'm sorry. It is a weight. It is a weight on your spirit. It is a weight on your body to do something like that. It's very heavy. It's a very heavy bag to carry. I I can't imagine that someone would want to do something like that, but people do. People are people, and they do things for various reasons. Everybody has their reasons for doing something. However, that bag is heavy to hold. Again, it's like a lie. It's one thing that just snowballs into all these other things. It just keeps going and going and going. And it just takes a certain breed of person to want to just maliciously harm you, whether it's, physical, emotional, verbal. It really does take a certain breed to want to do that. And then, it starts to snowball into these things where, I'm an overthinker. I'll start thinking about various reasons as to why you would want to do that. What would be your goal? What's your gain? Especially when, it was just a conversation that either we were having regularly. It was what I thought could have possibly been a good conversation or an honest conversation. And then you misconstrue it into something else to fit your need. And what was that need? And that's kind of, I start to overthink things like that. That's how I start to think. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people do the same thing. They think about all these things. But malicious intent is god awful. It's because you're doing something with a purpose. You're doing something with a purpose to really hurt someone else. Again, whether it's emotional, verbal, physical, that's a weight, that's a heavy burden to carry, man. And I don't wish that on anyone. Like, why would you want to do something like that? And again, it takes a certain breed. What kind of character trait does that person have? And then again, you have someone who can walk around with this smile, with this look of non-malice that draws you in, right? It draws you in, and you get comfortable, you start communicating, you start having a conversation, and that's just a collection of information for you to turn around, or for that person to turn around and just boom, let loose and just put a spin on it and just make either you look like a fool or whoever you're around look like a fool. And when that was never the case to begin with, whether those people ever hear your side of the story, maybe, or maybe they will, maybe they won't. But again, it was a collection of information to be let out, to be, to be manipulated and to make you look like a fool, you or whoever you're dealing with. And that's, again, it's could you imagine, like, just if even if you are that type of person, you're watching this, I want you to just envision what it is that I'm saying, and just kind of think about what that weight is for you to want to maliciously go out and do something like that to someone. Wouldn't it be far easier to just be a positive person, or put a positive spin on things, or accept the information that was given to you as it was? um, think about the two differences of weight. Like, if you put it in a physical aspect, of a physical perspective, think about the two different weights that would require for you to carry. It's pretty significant. Like, if, again, wrap your brain around it, try to envision it in any way that makes it make sense, any way that makes it viable for you to put it into the process that I'm asking you. The weights are different, and it's evident. One weighs next to nothing and you walk around freely, where the other one has a burden. Because again, you misconstrue something, possibly lie, you got to keep that going, and it's just going to keep flowing back and flowing back, and you got to keep recalling that and recalling that. It's just one of those things where it's just, malicious intent is just something that's so awful. It's just, how, who has the brain power, who has the energy, who wants to tear someone down. It's wild to me. It's unfathomable. But again, anyway, that's a vent session. Jay Cotto, thank you for lending me your ears. Do what you do it well, do it the best way you know how. I am out. Deuces.